Hello everybody, I'm Raphael Perry, and it's time, after many moons, for some more Mordheim, City of the Damned. Now, last time I played some Mordheim on the channel, I was standing in for someone who'd dropped out of a tournament, and they'd had a pretty bad streak or something as far as I know. Anyway, basically they weren't able to play anymore, and so I answered the call and said, yeah, sure, I'll play for this person. Take their place, play a few games, have some fun. Turned out I wasn't aware of quite how nasty some of the other players were, and let's be honest, right? I've never been a big fan of the tournament player mindset. You know, the guy who turns up at the tournament with the attitude that he has to win at all cost, and he's not there to make any friends, because he's never going to have to play any of his opponents ever again. And what happens to that kind of player is that people don't play him again, even when he's not going to tournaments. And he rapidly runs out of opponents and ends up playing with the same smaller and smaller dwindling group of opponents who all have a similar mindset, which is nice because it keeps those players away from the rest of us. But it's also nasty because it puts them in their sort of echo chamber and just amplifies the situation. So, yeah, I wasn't quite aware of how aggressively competitive some of the other players would be, and basically because I was taking a more balanced approach, I didn't stand a chance of winning most of those games and got into such a bad situation that it got really frustrating and depressing, and I just had to step out in the end because I just couldn't take it anymore. And I did let my frustrations be very well known, let's say. However, I did at the time of politely stepping out. Look, yeah, I wasn't very polite in a few of the games leading up to my stepping out of the league, but when I did so politely. But anyway, yeah, at the time I mentioned having a super secret special plan, and here it is. I am going to attempt the Die in Mordheim challenge. That would be the latest version, and in some regards it's not too different from the way that a lot of the tournament players were playing the league in the first place, and that was not explicitly evident in the way that the league was being played. But anyway, let's not dwell on that too much. So, I'm going to create a new warband. One thing that I really disliked during the league was there was one match I had with an opponent where, you know, we both played honourably and well, and that was all fine, but we had so many bugs and disconnects that we tried a few things to try and make it easier to connect and play together, and the game deleted my favourite, oldest warband, my very first Mordheim warband in fact, and replaced it with a duplicate copy of my tournament warband. This annoyed me greatly, as you can imagine. So, with the witch hunters, the mercenaries, the sisters of Sigmar, the cult of the possessed, the scavenge, and the undead. Now, because this is an extremely dangerous challenge, I should blatantly play the faction that I'm most comfortable with, that I have the most experience with. And that would be the sisters. They suit my playstyle quite well, and I do enjoy playing them. So let's do that. So, warband does not start at a higher rank. Just starts at the low basic beginner rank.
In the name of Most Holy Sigmar, I greet you, sister. Your service and dedication to our order has long been in my mind. As High Matriarch, I must put your conviction and valor to the ultimate test. Hold fast to your faith. Keep Sigmar's glory in your heart. Remember the tenets of your devotion, and I know you will acquit yourself as a matriarch should. Well do you know the calamity that visited judgment upon this city. The hammer of Sigmar descended from the heavens to strike down the wickedness of this place. The rock alone was spared, our tiny bastion of piety within the decadence of Mordheim. Yet, in maintaining our own purity, did we not forsake our duty to the people around us? Did we not become frustrated and abandon them to their wantonness? In that, we wronged Sigmar, and for that crime our order must be redeemed. The cult of Sigmar has branded us heretics and worse. We must prove to them, prove to the Grand Theogonist himself, that our faith has not been tainted. Only by cleansing the corruption from Mordheim, atoning for our earlier failures, can we be restored. It is a dangerous duty I must entrust to you, to lead a warband of our sisters into the ruins and gather the corrupt wordstone. If Mordheim is to be purged, then the taint must be locked away where it can work no further harm. There are many who covet the foul stones, both human and inhuman. You must persecute them all with the zeal of Holy Sigmar. You can't allow mercy to temper your purpose. Let nothing cause you to falter in this sacred duty. For it is only through our faith that we can ever emerge from this darkness and walk again in a light of glory and honor.
Okay. Now, we're in the camp. That's lovely. Warband name. Hammer keepers as default. Well, let's change that. God, is it Y to rename Warband? It is, yes. So, the original Warband who were lost were called the Brides of the Comet. And I originally changed that name because it just seemed like such a sloshy, slocky, trashy B-movie kind of name. But after a while it kind of grew on me and I actually changed back to it. So we will keep that daft name going forwards. Alright. So let us review the rules. Warband must start at no ranks. Yeah, that's fine. So, I need to go down to 700 gold crowns from this 1,000 here by hiring and firing. I am allowed to keep equipment, and I need as many shields as possible. I need to fill all slots, and I'm only allowed to use reserve slots for displacing a few heroes to put in an impressive if I want to. So, we want novices because they come with shields. And because we cannot guarantee any shields at all. Ooh. Knew that was going to happen eventually. Sorry lass, but you've got to go. Now. Okay, so they're all 15, so we need to get rid of 300. Oh, I need to do this a lot of times, don't I? Okay. Oh dear. Gonna get a few spare hammers here, because we can save some of these, right? We can absolutely sell some of these to make up money. I realize this isn't too great, but... Okay, so that's... I need to do that a few more times. So what I'll do is just through the magic of half-assed video editing, be back with you all in a moment. Alright, so one slight pause, one interruption, and about 18 hours later, yeah, don't ask. God, life sometimes is crazy. Here I am. So, as you can see here, 700 gold crowns. I'm gonna pull up the rest of the rules, but basically now I get to make the warband normally. And the rest of the rules govern how I can play. Okay, now I am gonna just pull that up quickly. Little bit of background work. I know, but it shouldn't take very long to get there. He says as the internet takes a long time loading things up, so maybe it will take a bit of a while. Oh dear. But essentially, now I get to hire the warband and then tart them up a bit, make them look special and get ready to go. So, good grief. That's amazingly bad. Don't know what's going on with the internet connection tonight, but that's gonna be horrible when it comes to upload all this. Yeah, so we don't get to use reserve slots, so everyone in the warband stays in the warband. If they're injured out of mission, guess what? They're injured out of mission. It happens sometimes, okay? It's not fun. Well, that's just not loading at all. Right. Good God. Right, hold on. That's getting really annoying now, actually. Wow. Okay. Well, look, essentially it's no spending veteran system. I'm only allowed to do 2 of the veteran skills. I'm allowed one of them now, and I'm allowed the other one after my first few missions. I have to fail my first 3 delivery requests, first 3 faction delivery requests, putting me on final warning, and I've never failed more than 2 before, so that's going to come particularly harsh. I'm not allowed to do the main storyline, so let's just go get some company now. So we want a Sister Superior. The smuggler will be useful, but not on our first mission, so we grab her. And because of how nasty and hard things are, we're gonna give her a hammer and a shield. And she can have her two-handed hammer as a backup weapon. There we go. Then we're going to want 2 sisters. And we will give them shields, obviously, because we want them to stay alive. Because this is gonna be a harder difficulty here. So, shield again, and then 1 novice. Who already has a shield and a mace, so that's all fine. And then we will go to the trader and say, please, Mr. Trader, have you got any helmets for us? We want all your helmets. There we go. All the helmets. Do you have any armor for us? Yes, you do. That's amazing. That's really the only armor you have? Okay, we'll take it. We'll take all 3. and we'll gird ourselves for battle. Hey, did I buy that helmet? I did. Amazing. Yeah. Let's get us some protective gear. That's a matron, alright. You also are going to get a helmet and some armor, because you're important. And then... one helmet, or one set of light armor. One helmet. And no armor. Okay, so I'm going to pause for a moment to name these sisters and get them all in nicer colours, more fitting with the mud-smeared, comet-stricken streets of Mordheim, and I'll be back again soon. See you in a bit. And we're back again. Hopefully. Yep, all good. So, actually, the names the game rolled weren't that bad. The game has a slight habit of rolling very Bretonnian sounding names for the Sisters of Sigmar, which is a little bit odd, as their names should have a more imperial sound to them. Now, we have Hannah von Grenstadt. Oh dear, that's a problem, isn't it? Yeah, there's supposed to be a Z between the N and the... there's not enough room for it, is there? Damn it. Okay, let's see. No. Oh. Okay. We'll go like this. Oh, that's wrong. Okay. I was going to call her Hannelore von Grenstadt. Instead, we'll just go with a simple Anna. So, Grenstadt is in Avaland, in the southeast of the Empire. And the Avalanders have a reputation for being somewhat stubborn and pig-headed. They are superstitious people. You know, they are into astrology and, you know, numerology and things like that. And they can be really stuck on stuff. But they're also fairly open-spoken. They don't mind speaking their mind, and they can be pretty tough. Also, they take things in their stride. You know, they don't get too stressed out about things. So we have Anna von Grenstadt. I wanted her to be a Hannelore because that sounded suitably long and pretentious and ridiculous enough. But no, she just gets to be Anna, I'm afraid. We have Hilda Hunschloch. We have Agatha Luden, whose name didn't even need to be changed. I don't have accents on my keyboard, otherwise I put the appropriate one over the U. We have Clara Dietmar, again, didn't need changing, although Dietmar more of a first name than a surname. And Marlena Aldersfluger, whose first name of Narondia didn't quite feel imperial enough. Now, back to the veteran system. As I finally managed to get the Die in Mordheim challenge rules up. Can't hire any hired swords. Now, hired swords doesn't mean I can't hire the the DLC heroes. Hired swords means literally hiring. Come on, you. Okay, it's actually not even going to let me. So yeah, hired swords means experienced warband members who will come with experience, equipment, maybe some injuries, you know, the kind of thing. Basically, no hiring experienced people who've seen it all before. Right? Back to the veteran section. I can take the explorer skill. So I shall. And the explorer skill is kind of required because it lets extra scouts be sent out, I think. And we're taking that again, as we're just going to be looking for extra missions all the time. I'm not allowed to take any more veteran skills until I have failed 3 deliveries, at which point I am allowed to take the negotiator veteran skill. Remember, this is quite a challenge, right? This is going to be like Mordheim extreme difficulty mode. It just gives me a little more time to fulfill those demands. Now, having never failed more than 2 delivery requests before, I don't know if failing the 3rd one means that extra warpstone gets added on to the request for the final demand. So, what are the win conditions of the Die in Mordheim? Oh yeah, so there's stuff like no using the overhead map, no backtracking, random deployment every time, you know, things like that, which all are going to make the game a lot harder. And while I have a reasonable degree of familiarity with many of the maps, I'm not going to be presumptuous enough to say I ain't going to get lost having all these sisters bumbling around trying to find himself. Also, using the overhead maps makes it far too easy to find all those items lying on the floor. So we are going to actually be pushing points into awareness and using the alertness perception skills and actions more often. What else? Every available active slot in the warband must be filled at all times, so no empty slots down here. No reinforcement slots used, unless I want to put a few heroes in reserves so I can put an impressive out here. Which is fair enough, but that's the only time I can use reinforcement slots. Must pay upkeep and treatment if you have the gold, I always do. Cannot fire warriors after you've started, again, I tend not to fire them. Cannot complete, after the 3rd failure, can take negotiator. Not allowed to spend secondary Oh, that's going to make it very hard to make. Right, so I'm not allowed to send any warpstone to any secondary factions. This means that when I have a big warpstone, my first 3 warpstone requests, I'm going to have a hard time not fulfilling those because I'm going to be wanting to send off warpstones. So basically, I need to send it all off as soon as I get it, unless there is a request pending, at which point I need to hang on to it and not send it. So I can't use the secondary factions to make skills any cheaper. Wow, I'd completely blanked that. God, that's going to be hard. Right. After the first mission, always pick deadly missions. If no deadly, then send scouts out until you get a deadly. If you run out of scouts, pass the day. And do the same again. Always launch, never launch and deploy. Yep, have to launch with injured warriors, which means you get less people on the table. No overhead map, no backtracking, no story missions. The lose conditions are if I fail that 4th warpstone delivery, or if the warband is too crippled to carry on. And the win conditions are if they somehow reach rank 10. Now, I think once I put this all together, this will come to a good length for one video, and then I'll be able to launch into the first actual mission with these poor, sorry bunch of souls. Yeah. Well, this was warband creation. It's not exactly short and simple, but I haven't done the Die in Mordheim challenge before, and it's going to be interesting. I hope you've enjoyed this warband creation video, and I'll look forward to seeing you in the first actual gameplay one. I'll say bye-bye for now, and cheerio, guys!